Hello and welcome to Current News. I am Amrit Upadhyay. In this special segment, we will discuss news which is important from the perspective of your exam. The bulletin of the last whole week, which might echo in your question paper in the examination hall. So let us first look at the headlines. UNSC permanent members issue joint statement, emphasis on making the world free of nuclear weapons. NPT meeting suspended for time being. The discussion on the issue of hate speech intensifies. The term hate speech has not been defined anywhere in the Indian law. Law Commission had recommended it to be declared a crime. Savitri phule remembered on her birth anniversary, recognized as the first female teacher in India, also called Mother of Indian Feminism. Preparation to blend 15% green hydrogen into PNG. Hydrogen purchase obligation will be implemented from 2023. Green hydrogen is the fuel of the future. And increase in unemployment in Bengal due to closure of tea estates. Mushroom Development Foundation takes a new initiative. People get new hope from mushroom cultivation. The 5 permanent member states of the United Nations Security Council have issued a joint statement to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. In this statement, USA, Russia, China, France and Britain have reiterated that it is their first and foremost obligation to avoid war between nuclear weapon states. As per the statement, until the world becomes completely nuclear weapons free, till then, these weapons should serve defensive purposes, deter aggression, and prevent war. For your information, a review meeting of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty was scheduled in New York in January 2022, but the meeting has been postponed for the time being. Now the meeting will be organized towards the end of this year. The signing campaign of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, that is NPT, began in 1968, but the treaty came into force in 1970. 191 countries, including 5 nuclear weapon states, have signed this treaty. The treaty aims at preventing the proliferation of nuclear weapons, promoting disarmament, and ensuring the right of using nuclear technology for peace. NPT advocates using nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. In 1995, a decision was taken to enforce this treaty forever. India has not yet signed the NPT. The International Atomic Energy Agency, that is IAEA, has been obligated to fulfill the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty's objectives. IAEA was formed in 1957 and is headquartered at Vienna, Austria. IAEA's primary function is to ensure that nuclear energy is being used for only peaceful purposes in the world. It should be underlined that IAEA is not a part of the United Nations, but it submits its reports to the UN Security Council and General Assembly. The RCEP agreement came into force on 1st January 2022. As per a report, the agreement will face challenges from the Indo-Pacific geopolitics. It is noteworthy that besides 10 ASEAN nations, China, South Korea, Japan, Australia and New Zealand are part of RCEP. ASEAN includes Malaysia, Philippines, Brunei, Singapore, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, Indonesia and Myanmar. The idea of RCEP was first proposed by ASEAN countries in 2011. It was signed in a virtual meeting in November 2020. It was first ratified by China in April 2021. It is believed that the RCEP will have to face several challenges in the Indo-Pacific geopolitical scenario. The United States of America is not a part of this agreement despite being a part of the Asia-Pacific region. India refrained from signing the RCEP due to domestic protests. In this manner, the two big players of Asia-Pacific politics are not part of this agreement. In addition, the Philippines, Vietnam and Indonesia are also embroiled in disputes with China in the South China Sea region. Despite having deep trade ties with China, many RCEP countries turned to the USA for strategic ties. Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines participated in the Democracy Summit organized by the US recently. The nature of RCEP is pro-China, and due to this, it is alleged that in the Indo-Pacific region, RCEP will be most beneficial for China. Recently, India and Pakistan shared the list of nuclear installations with each other. These installations cannot be attacked even under any condition of hostility. This list is exchanged under Article 2 of the Agreement on Prohibition of Attacks Against Nuclear Installations and Facilities. The agreement was signed on 31 December 1988 and ratified on 27 January 1991. This list is being shared continuously since 1 January 1992. Apart from this, the list of prisoners lodged in jails was also shared by both the countries. This list is shared under Article 1 of the Consular Access Agreement. It was signed on 21 May 2008. According to the agreement, every year on January 1st and July 1st, the list of prisoners lodged in the jails of both the countries is shared. According to the list shared recently, 628 Indian prisoners are lodged in Pakistani jails, while 355 Pakistani prisoners are lodged in Indian jails. Some speeches delivered during a religious program held in Haridwar recently have intensified the discussion on hate speech. In the program, the leaders of some religious organizations advocated violence against the followers of a particular religion. In the program, a threat was given that if the government opposes the campaign of creating a Hindu Rashtra, then there would be a revolt similar to the revolt of 1857. With reference to the case, we will try to understand two things. One, what is hate speech? And two, what provisions have been laid against hate speech in the Constitution of India? In general, hate speech is considered any expression that exposes a person or a group or section of society to hate, violence, ridicule, or indignity. However, no Indian law provides a precise definition of hate speech. Yet, Sections 153A and 505 of the Indian Penal Code are generally taken to be the main penal provisions that deal with inflammatory speeches and expressions under the Indian law. Under Section 153A, promotion of enmity between different groups on grounds of religion, race, place of birth, residence, language, etc., and doing acts that can harm the harmony among communities is an offense punishable with 3 years imprisonment. It attracts a more grave punishment of 5-year term if the offense is committed in a place of worship or religious ceremonies. Section 505 of IPC makes it an offense to make statements conducing to public mischief, that is, promoting mutiny by the armed forces or causing such fear or alarm that people are induced to commit an offense against the state or disturbing public order, or is intended to incite any group to commit an offense against another group. This attracts a jail term of up to 3 years. Again, like Section 153A, here too, the same offense will attract up to a 5-year jail term if the offense is committed in a place of worship or religious ceremonies. For your information, the Law Commission had recommended inclusion of a separate provision to declare hate speech as an offense. The Commission had recommended the inclusion of two new sections, 153C and 505A in IPC. Similar recommendations were made by the MP Bezbarua Committee and the T.K. Vishwanathan Committee. Central government has filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court in the matter related to EWS Reservation. In the affidavit, it has been declared that for defining EWS annual family income criteria of 8 lakh rupees is reasonable. It is noteworthy that the Supreme Court had sought explanations from the centre on the EWS criteria in the All India NEET case. In a recent hearing, the Supreme Court had upheld the reservation limit of 27% for OBCs and 10% for EWS. With this, the ban on counselling through NEET has also been removed. Central government has filed the affidavit on the basis of an expert committee's recommendations. The committee has justified the centre's decision of fixing an annual income of 8 lakh rupees as EWS criteria. The annual family income limit of creamy layer in OBC has also been referred in this case. In OBC category, the annual family income limit of the candidates belonging to creamy layer has been fixed at 8 lakh rupees only. However, the annual family income relates to the financial year prior to the year of application in case of EWS, whereas for the creamy layer in OBC category, it is applicable to gross annual income for 3 consecutive years. For your information, EWS, that is economically weaker section, were provided reservation through the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act 2019. By this act, amendments were made in Articles 15 and 16 of the Constitution of India. Recently, Union Home Minister Amit Shah presided over a high-level meeting on internal security. During this, he asked the DGPs of the states to provide necessary and sufficient inputs through MAC, that is Multi-Agency Center. Earlier, the report of a parliamentary committee in 2020 had also underlined the need to increase coordination among security agencies via MAC. MAC is a common counter-terrorism grid that was formed in the year 2001 after the Kargil War. The national MAC is headquartered in New Delhi, which comes under the purview of Intelligence Bureau, an agency of the Ministry of Home Affairs. At present, 28 organizations including RAW, different armed forces and state police are associated with MAC. Agencies on this platform hold meetings almost daily where inputs received during the last 24 hours are analyzed. In addition, there is a weekly meeting with the National Security Advisor as well. On the lines of MAC, SMAC, that is Subsidiary Multi-Agency Center, has been formed in all the state capitals. The point to note here is that the Ministry of Home Affairs, in collaboration with IB, is moving towards increasing the connectivity of SMAC to the districts. IB is now selecting the districts for this scheme in a phased manner. IB believes that this will strengthen the synergy of inputs needed to prevent terrorism, terror financing, narco-terrorism, cyber attacks, etc. The birth anniversary of renowned social reformer Savitri Phule was celebrated recently. She was born on 3rd January 1831 in Satara district of Maharashtra. Her birthday is commemorated as Balika Din in Maharashtra. She is regarded as the first female teacher of modern India. She, along with her husband Jyotiba Phule, established 3 schools for women in Pune in 1851. She also opened a shelter home for widows. She was also an advocate of widow marriage. Jyotiba Phule appointed Fatima Sheikh as a teacher in one of the schools established by her. Fatima Sheikh became the first Muslim female teacher of India. The British government declared Savitri Phule as the best teacher of Maharashtra in 1852. She advocated intercaste marriages. She, along with Jyotiba Phule, founded the Satya Shodhak Samaj. In the Satya Shodhak Samaj, Satya Shodhak marriages were performed with an oath-taking ceremony conducted without a priest. She is also known as the mother of Indian feminism. The government is trying to blend 15% green hydrogen with the piped natural gas. It will be used for domestic, commercial and industrial consumption. This initiative is part of the government's National Hydrogen Mission. This is being done for achieving India's goals of becoming carbon neutral by 2070. The government plans to bring green hydrogen under RPO, that is Renewable Purchase Obligation. RPO means that large buyers or DISCOMs will have to meet some part of their total energy consumption from renewable energy. In the case of hydrogen, this arrangement will be called HPO, that is Hydrogen Purchase Obligation. The talks of starting HPO from 2023 are also doing the rounds. It is worthy to note that the National Hydrogen Mission was announced by the Prime Minister in his speech on 15th August 2021. Green hydrogen is produced from water through electrolysis using renewable energy. It produces hydrogen and oxygen. It does not have any byproducts that are harmful to the environment. Some of the tea estates in northwest Bengal closed a few years ago, and as a result, many people lost their employment. But Mushroom Development Foundation, located in Assam, has taken a new initiative to get these people re-employed. The organization members are teaching the local people the skills of mushroom farming. It should be noted that mushroom crop can be harvested in 20 days only, and a person can earn up to 10,000 rupees per 100 kg of the produce. Mushroom farming is known as fungiculture. Unlike other plants, mushroom does not require sunlight to grow, but it takes the required nutrients for its growth from its surroundings. Mushroom farming is carried out in 6 stages. In the first stage, mushroom compost is prepared, in which generally crop straw, horse manure, chicken manure, gypsum and wastewater etc. are used. In the second stage, final preparations of compost are done, in which pests etc. present in the compost are removed by the pasteurization method. Besides, the ammonia formed in the compost in the first stage is also removed in the second stage. Ammonia in excess quantity can harm the mushroom crops. The third stage is known as spawning. Spawning is similar to the seedling process of the other crops. In this process, mycelium, that is the vegetative part of fungus, is spread evenly in some trays. The fourth and most important stage in mushroom farming is casing. When the whiteness of the mycelium becomes visible in the tray, then a mixture of dung manure, coconut dust etc. is spread over it. After a few days, pinheads are formed in these trays, which are plucked with light hands after attaining a certain size. This process is called pinning. The final stage of mushroom farming is cropping, which basically refers to harvest and post-harvest processes. In India, especially 3 types of mushrooms, namely button, straw and oysters, are cultivated. Mushrooms are good source of protein, antioxidants and iron. ISRO Chairman K. Sivan shared details about ISRO's scheduled missions in his New Year's message. According to K. Sivan, ISRO's flagship mission of 2022 is Gaganyaan. Besides, ISRO is also preparing to launch 2 Earth observation satellites, EOS-04 and EOS-06, through Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Chandrayaan-3, Aditya L1 and ExpoSat will also be launched in 2022. In addition, NASA and ISRO's joint mission NISAR will be launched in 2023. Other than this, ISRO is also planning to launch 2 missions, Disha and Trishna, for Venus. For your information, in Aditya L1 mission, the spacecraft will be sent to the L1 Lagrangian point, which is 1.5 million kilometers away from the Earth. At the Lagrangian point, the gravitational force of both the Earth and the Sun equals the centripetal force applied on the satellite. Centripetal force is required for the satellite to rotate in orbit. The advantage of sending a satellite at the L1 point is that the effect of eclipse etc. is not visible at this point. Therefore, L1 point is a more suitable place from a research point of view. And ExpoSat deals with studying the polarization of astronomical phenomena. CMIE, that is Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, has released some data on unemployment. The unemployment rate in December was the highest in the last 4 months. The unemployment rate in December stood at 7.9%, which is the highest unemployment rate since August, when the rate was 8.3%. It is noteworthy that CMIE is a leading business company. It was formed as an independent think tank in 1976. For your information, unemployment is defined as a position when a person wants to work but he does not get employment. High rate of unemployment reflects the crisis in an economy, while the low rate of unemployment reflects the economic strength of an economy. In India, there are 3 sources of unemployment related data, the Census of India report, NSO's PLFS, that is Periodic Labor Force Survey report, and the data registered in Employment Exchange of the Directorate General of Training. Some terms have been defined in PLFS. One must know these terms in order to understand the unemployment data in India. LFPR, that is Labor Force Participation Rate, is defined as the percentage of persons in labor force in the total population. Labor force stands for people working or seeking or available for work. WPR, that is Worker Population Ratio, is defined as the percentage of employed persons in the total population. UR, that is Unemployment Rate, is defined as the percentage of unemployed among the persons in the labor force. RBI has released a framework for enabling low-cost digital payments in offline mode recently. The offline payments can be made using any channel or instrument like cards, wallets, and mobiles. The offline payments can be made in face-to-face mode only. Such offline payment transactions can be offered without an additional factor of authentication and can be implemented only at the customer's discretion. For security purposes, an alert message will also be sent to the customer after such transaction. In such payments, an upper limit of ₹200 per transaction and an overall limit of ₹2000 shall be applicable. As per RBI, offline payment means a transaction which does not require internet or telecom connectivity. It is noteworthy that internet availability is still limited in semi-urban and rural areas. Let us now look at the 5 questions based on the bulletin.
Questions for this series are: first question is, which body has the jurisdiction to give effect to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty in India? Department of Atomic Energy, Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, Defense Research and Development Organization, or there is no body in India which has this responsibility as India has not signed this treaty. Next question is, what do you understand by the term Renewable Purchase Obligation or RPO? Under this arrangement, power companies are required to buy a certain part of the total energy purchased from renewable energy. This arrangement makes it mandatory for power plants to install a 30% renewable energy manufacturing system. Under the RPO, the states have been given the responsibility to determine the minimum number of windmill-powered power plants, or none of the above. Next question is, what is the importance of casing process in mushroom cultivation? 1. This allows essential nutrients to be included in the mycelium of the mushroom. 2. It helps in retaining the required moisture in the mushroom tray. 3. The pinning process is simplified due to the process of casing only. Select the correct statements using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, or all of the above. Next question is, consider the following statements with reference to the multi-agency center. 1. This center was formed immediately after the Indo-China War. 2. This center is under the control of Intelligence Bureau of Ministry of Home Affairs. Which of the above statement or statements is or are correct? Only 1, only 2, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2. Last question is, with reference to hate speech, consider the following statements. 1. Hate speech is well defined in the Code of Criminal Procedure. 2. There is no penal provision in relation to this in any law. Which of the above statement or statements is or are correct? Only 1, only 2, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2.
So for the time being, that's all in this bulletin. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe Drishti IAS Hindi, English and PCS YouTube channel. At the end, let us have a look at few more events of the last week and other news.
After the recent violence in Nagaland, the demand for abolishing AFSPA law from the state had gained momentum. But on the contrary, recently Ministry of Home Affairs has issued a notification declaring entire Nagaland as a disturbed and sensitive area for additional 6 months. It means that the purview of UPSC has been extended in Nagaland. UPSC 1958, applicable in the northeastern states, confers power to the concerned governor and the central government to declare a part of the state or the entire state as a disturbed area subject to the prevalent circumstances. The Act confers some special powers to the armed forces. Madras High Court Justice G.R. Swaminathan has put forth his opinion on an order of the same court. It is noteworthy that the High Court in its order had mandated to install CCTV cameras in massage parlors and therapy centers. Swaminathan has claimed that the order is against the decision given by the Supreme Court in K.S. Puttaswamy case. For your information, the apex court in the said case had held that the right to privacy is an intrinsic part of life and liberty under Article 21. Gujarat High Court ordered a journalist to speak only in English in the court. As per the High Court, the order was issued because English is the working language of the court. According to Article 348, the English language will be used in the Supreme Court, High Courts, laws and bills. However, the governor can allow the states to use Hindi or any other language for court proceedings after getting the president's approval. But even in this situation, the rule will not be applicable in the matters related to orders and decrees of the court. There is a rule in the High Court too that even if a party does not take a lawyer's assistance, then also he will have to use only English language in the court. Odisha government has approved amendments in Sri Jagannath Temple Act 1954. As per the amendment, the temple administration and concerned officials will now possess the authority to sell the temple land or give it on lease. For these purposes, they need to take even the state government's approval. Sri Jagannath Temple, located in Puri, is adjacent to the eastern coast of India and it is dedicated to Lord Jagannath. It was built in the 12th century. The temple premises are enclosed by two walls. The inner wall is known as Kuruma Bheda and the outer wall is known as Meghnath Pachira. At the temple's zenith, a Neer Chakra made of Ashtadhatu is mounted. As per some Brazilian scientists, the forestation graph in Cerrado, Brazil has increased very rapidly during the last year. Last time the forestation graph was at its peak in 2015. Cerrado is a savanna region spread across the southwest, central and northeast of Brazil. Amazon, the world's most dense forest, lies to the west of Cerrado, and to its east there is Caatinga region, which is an expansion of shrubs. Telecommunication Engineering Center has issued guidelines on code of practice for securing consumer Internet of Things recently. These guidelines will be useful in alerting consumers about Internet of Things related threats. Internet of Things is a networking system in which various machines, humans and other things are interconnected for transferring data. Telecommunication Engineering Center is a technology institute under Department of Telecommunications, Ministry of Communications. As per the latest data, the coal production of the country has boomed. In the data, 6.7% increase in coal production has been reported. The data has been recorded as on December 2019. Coal production has now reached 74.78 million tons level. As per the government data, Railway Protection Force has rescued more than 600 lives under Mission Jeevan Raksha during the last year. More than 1600 people have been rescued under this mission in the last 4 years. Besides, Meri Saheli initiative was undertaken for the women passengers' safety. Under the initiative, 244 Meri Saheli teams have been formed at major railway stations of India so far. Operation Amanat is being implemented by RPF in order to recover the goods stolen from the passengers and to return it back to them.